Okay, now we're going to use some of Mendel's ideas and what he learned to do some predicting of what types of traits organisms will end up with. So Mendel kind of started the ball rolling and got people thinking about mathematically how were things inherited. But then as we learned more about DNA and genes and chromosomes and things like that, we learned about actually the actual pieces of the puzzle that made this happen. So now we can give more concrete words to some of the things Mendel was only hypothesizing about. So the first word I want to talk about is genotype versus phenotype. We're going to start with phenotype actually because that's a little bit easier to understand. The phenotype is the actual outward result of alleles. So remember what I was talking about earlier, and I said if you put a tall plus a tall and you get a tall, or a tall plus a short and you get a tall, or a short and a short and you get a short, okay, that outcome, what you actually see or what you actually get, the tall or short outcome, is the phenotype. Okay, so the phenotype is the actual outcome. For example, in humans, phenotypes we often look at is blue eyes. That would be the phenotype of whatever genes you have for eye color. Or brown hair. That would be your phenotype for hair color. The actual outward result of those alleles that you're carrying on your chromosomes. Now the genotype kind of keys you in as to what's going on or what's it's defined as with the word geno in it. Okay, the genotype is the actual alleles for a trait. So in other words, are you tall tall, or are you tall short, or are you short short? Okay, so those alleles, the things you're actually carrying around on your chromosomes, are different than what your appearance might actually be. For example, you might carry tall short alleles but look tall. You might carry brown blue alleles but have brown eyes. So the genotype and the phenotype aren't always the same. They don't always match up. Now I'm going to take you a step further. Scientists have now come up with a way to kind of key what genotypes are based on Mendel's idea of dominant and recessive. So in a genotype, the dominant allele always equals the capital letter, and the recessive allele always equals a lowercase letter. So instead of me constantly saying tall short or tall tall or tall short short or whatever you have, I can instead say big T little t. And right away you know that the dominant allele and the recessive allele are signified by those letters. Okay? The gene is the T gene, but we have two versions of it. We have a dominant version, which we symbolize with a capital letter, and a recessive version, which we symbolize with a lowercase letter. So we're going to do an example with this. If I had, let's just go for tall and short. So if I had two phenotypes, be tall or short are my phenotypes. Okay, those are the outward appearances, the traits that I could show as a result of my alleles. I could be tall or I could be short if I were a pea plant. The genotypes could be a big T with a big T, tall, tall, which would be our tall phenotype, a big T with a little t, which would be our tall phenotype, or a little t with a little t, which would be our short phenotype. Okay, so there are three possible genotypes, three different combinations of alleles, dominant, 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 recessive, 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 and according to Mendel's rules, the dominant always covers up the recessive, so both of these are tall, Even though there's a little recessive allele, it gets covered up by the big T. The only time we see the short phenotype is when we have both recessive alleles in the genotype. All right, we have special names for these genotypes. Heterozygous is like Mendel's hybrid. Remember, they have different traits. So the one that's different is the big T, little t. Okay, so heterozygous is the big T, little t genotype. Hetero, as a prefix, means different. So what's different here? We have different alleles. One is a capital or dominant allele. One is a small lowercase or recessive allele. Homozygous is like Mendel's purebred. Homo, as a prefix, means same. So in this case, we're going to have the same alleles. So we could have either both capital alleles, those two are the same, or both lowercase recessive alleles, those two are the same. So we have two homozygous genotypes and one heterozygous genotype. So I can make this even easier for me to say, and instead of saying big T, little t genotype, I could just say heterozygous genotype. Or I could say homozygous dominant genotype or homozygous recessive genotype. And you would know exactly what I'm talking about.